That's where we find anchor Shahan Ramkissoon. He's there for us tonight. Shahan, I suppose it would be a fair balance of looking at both the external and internal issues when trying to really understand the situation that Turkey finds itself in today.
Kathy, as the sun sets in Istanbul, I can tell you there's an uneasy sense of calm here. People, of course, confident in their government and what it's doing to actually get through what is a very difficult time for the economy. Some, though, saying that President Recep Tayyip Erdogan hasn't done enough. They accuse him of borrowing too much money and overspending, despite what was happening around the world, despite the looming trade wars between the US and China. Of course, the president himself coming out with a plan, an economic recovery plan, as some are calling it, to deal with the situation, revising down the economic growth rate to 3.8% this year and then 2.3% next year. It had some positive impact on the markets, but nevertheless, the rand against the lira, which is the local currency here, still at around not the lira, the dollar rather to the lira, still around 6 to the lira. It's struggling to make a comeback, and that's what people are worried about. People have been hit by high inflation of 18%, which is a 15-year high. That ultimately means they'll be paying more for products, for groceries, etc. It also led to interest rate hikes by the central bank, and that, of course, means they'll be paying more for their loans on their cars, their vehicles, as well as their homes. So it has had an impact on people. But what's very interesting about Turkey is that people are resilient. People believe that the government is doing its best to actually get things done to address the situation. I've spoken to so many people over the past couple of days since we arrived here, and you mainly hear the positives about how they believe that the government is going to get this right. Economists and analysts from all parts of this country will tell you that there are the right moves being made to recover from the impact of U.S. sanctions, from the impact of U.S. import tariffs. People on the ground say that, yes, they are struggling a little bit, but they know ultimately they will bounce back from this. Economists saying, though, that next year, that's when Turkey will go through a very difficult time, because for the rest of this year, it really does seem optimistic nevertheless. A growth of 5.5% usually, just now downgraded to 3.8%. So it's not that bad as far as they're concerned. The impact will largely be felt next year. I spoke to the main political party here, the AK party in Ankara. Of course, President Erdogan is the leader of that party. They say that they're doing everything right. They believe that this is an attack on Turkey by Donald Trump, that being the import tariffs imposed, that being the U.S. sanctions imposed because Turkey refuses to release an American pastor that's been held here for a while now. We also spoke to a former central bank governor of Turkey who says that he believes the government is doing the right things, but it's forgotten that it needed to have reacted and acted earlier because we knew this was coming. We knew that the emerging economies and markets needed to work with their own money, not borrow in dollars, for instance, he said. And this is what he had to say about the independence of the central bank today. President Erdogan has been accused of trying to influence the central bank here. He has denied that. But this former central bank governor says he knows for a fact that there is influence, and this is what he had to say. Let's talk about the central bank. President Erdogan's comments about the bank, about interest rates, have been controversial. Would you say it's independent, as he said recently?
On paper, yes. I believe the central bank has lost its independence. This is the main issue in Turkey.
Was it independent when you were governor?
Definitely.
Did you experience any pressure, any influence from the government?
As any country, the central bank experiences pressure from the politicians. Central bank did experience the same thing in my time. But the question is, should we yield into this pressure or should we resist it? We resisted to it.
And now you're saying it's not being resisted?
No.
Oh, that was reporter Shahan Ramkissoon. He's out in Istanbul for us, and certainly interesting to see that even issues around the own pressures that our Reserve Bank has come under, not being unique to South Africa. So he'll have more for us from Turkey throughout the remainder of the week.